welcome to our viewers. Welcome to PrayerCaveTV. Thank you so much for always tuning in and keeping it here at PrayerCaveTV. And we are so delighted and glad that you get blessed by our various programs that we bring to you every single day. Like when you tune in, there's always something for you and you're getting blessed. And as usual, I am your host, Maureen Boyani, and this is your spot, the Youth Nation Show. And today, there's a very interesting topic that we are going to talk about. But before then, there's this word in the Bible that says that it is the Lord who teaches us to create wealth. Does that ring something in your mind? Probably yes. But today we are going to talk about money issues, money matters, and especially among the young people. What education have we gotten in the area concerning money, our finances? Do we have anything to do, any knowledge about financial management or anything? And if you can concur with me, we usually go to our phones, and sometimes when you're scrolling, there's this text that comes that says how to make 10,000 in 1 hour. And do we run to that? Yes, we do. Why? We'll get to know that before we continue. I have our one and only Kenoli.
Kama dawa. Tumekuja kurepresent na tuchekeshi hapa maneno na pesa bana.
Kabisa.
Nimesikia mambo ya how to make $10,000 in 1 hour. Believe me. Hiyo
kitu siku excite. Nani
unajua nimeziguza mara ngapi?
I know.
Welcome so much to this show, Maze. We are going to have a wonderful session talking about financial management. And
Karibu sana.
Thank
and
you.
Nice to see you. Naona hujabebwa na maji.
You
know niliona your area code kwa news and I was worried.
Mfuriko bana.
But thank God you're here.
Maze, thank God.
And we have our beautiful guest today.
Yeah.
Before we proceed, she can just introduce herself. Karibu.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Millie, but I go by Millie Money because that's what I talk about. I talk about financial literacy, and I do content creation. I also do coaching for individuals, and I'm glad to be here.
You're so much welcome. And today we just want to take paper and pen because we are going to jot down very good points because I know we are struggling in this area. Sini kweli lakini. Hata mimi.
Mna struggle?
That area is no joke.
Mambo na pesa kidogo. Kuna watu wanakuanga wamefunga macho.
Mshike.
Tashwishi.
But maybe to start with, what is this thing that we hear about financial literacy? Is it even important? And if it is, how important is it?
I think financial literacy is extremely important because pesa, asamanga, even the Bible says, money answereth all problems.
It's true.
So
it even makes you have friends.
So financial literacy, it's very, very important. It's probably one of the top. Asamanga kuna 5 Fs that are most important in life, and finances is one of them. Yeah, so I believe it's extremely important for everyone, whether you are 18 years or you are 60 years. Money affects you in one way or another.
And maybe we can go back and see from what age are we supposed to be to get this information? Kwa sababu wengine wetu tuna struggle at this age.
I think the problem primarily is cultural, right? The way we've been brought up, we don't talk about money. You didn't know how much your parents used to make. You didn't used to know. Umetulia watu unacheza chini, and so that affects us. Yeah, our culture, because we don't talk about money, it's very hush. It's almost like taboo. Kuuliza your father, na mshahara yako ni how much? People get so irritated with that question, and that is a problem if you ask me. So if in other cultures, small kids who are 10 years, they know more about money than our graduates in Kenya. So I think as early as when you're growing up, ukianza kutumwa mkate, unaanza kufunzwa value ya pesa.
Ukikaka na change hivi, kesho time unafaa kule mkate ndo unaambiwa ile change.
Yeah, so as early as someone can have understanding, children have understanding or the concept of money from around age 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can
From
say
age
that.
7.
Yeah.
But imagine you being raised by a parent who financial literacy is not her thing, is not his thing. What happens?
So I think that's why we are here, to change the narrative. So by the time our viewers are parents,
Yeah.
they're going to be a bit better in how they raise their kids and talking about money.
That is beautiful.
Unakuanga na hiyo complain ya the background I come from. Penye tunaenda sasa, wewe ndio background.
Wewe ndio background.
And kuna a light bulb umesema about the society, you know, hiyo kuficha mambo na do and stuff. Like, kama wewe ni mtoi, you don't get to know a lot of information about money. And I think it's because parents, they themselves don't understand a lot about money. But before that, just give us your background a little bit in the financial world.
My background in the financial world. Sijatoka place ati tumeomoka, but growing up, my mom wasn't very secretive. Unajua venye mazao wengine wako, ukienda kuongea story ya dota na jam. That was not my mom. My mom was a bit more open. And she would tell me, unajua watu wengi walikuwa na mamezoea kusikia sina pesa, hakuna pesa. But my mom would say, sina pesa ya hii, lakini niko na pesa ya hii. And I think that made a big difference in how I saw the world, in how I saw things around me. So, ilinisaidia growing up, my mom being a bit open, I think it gave me a very positive outlook. Then when I was in Campo, kuna time tulikuwa tumestrike kidogo hivi, tukiwa campus tukafukuzwa. So during that break, I went on to take a course I know some of you know about Centonomy. So I went and took a course in Centonomy, and that became like a good foundation of my knowledge when it comes to money. My undergrad, I did entrepreneurship. Unajua watu wa biashara na pesa wakwangi wameachana sana. And I think that's my background. Then now I started doing financial content, financial training, financial coaching in 2020. Yeah.
What is that thing that made you decide that this is the path that I want to take?
So in 2020, I had worked for a few years. And I was like, Sasa, I've done Jobo. At that point, I was employed, right? So I had done Jobo for a few years, and I was like, what do I have to show for it? Kanza kuona sasa ukishaza unasema ni viti tu kwa hao na TV na vitu so nikaona that is not something to be proud of, and I started being curious for myself. I want to do better when it comes to money. And that drive ya do better is when I started doing a lot of research. I started a money club where I got people where I would only read money books, discuss them, money podcasts, we discuss them. So that is where that journey started, with looking inward and discovering, I need to do better. And then now when I started doing research, I found, kuna Wakenya wengi wanaongea story. So I become that person. I become that solution that I'm looking for. Someone on YouTube anaongea kuhusu do na ni Mkenya, someone who looks just like me, sounds just like me. Kwa mezoea kusikia walami nini. So I was like, okay, let me start my financial content journey. Yeah.
So how can you describe the journey so far since you started?
The journey has been interesting. It has been nice. So I started with making content online. At that time, I was still employed. So I was just doing it uku tu kando, because it's a hobbyist thing. It's a good thing. And then with time, it started looking like a business. How it became a business. At first, I would get my friends asking me, hey, Millie, niko na ka 50K hapa, unaona niekele wapi? Or another person asking, nile tu ni loose money. Najua loose change hapa kule. Sasa nashangaa sasa nifanyie aje? Jua naona ikifika Friday hata haribu. So ataka kujua mapema what to do with the 50 Gs. Then I would have someone who's like, hey, manze nimeingia kwa blanda, I have so much debt, I don't know what to do. Nitajitoaje kwa ishimo? So it started like that with my friends. At that time, I still didn't see like a real business venture. It hadn't clicked. But one time on Instagram, a stranger reached out to me. They were like, hey, I would like to talk to you about, I have some, alikuwa na pesa nyingi kidogo, in the hundreds of thousands. So alikuwa like, I have a few shillings here, and I would want to know where to invest the money. Nikwambia manze mimi niko job, niko busy, saizi siko sure kama nitapata time, because as I told you guys, I was employed at that time. Akaniambia, okay, naelewa, but I'm willing to pay you. I was like, hold up. You're willing to pay? Ukiingiza do napatikana. Siko busy. Nilisema niko busy. Nilikudanganya mse. Niko available. So now when that stranger reached out to me on IG and they were willing to pay me money, is when I was like, maybe there's a business here.
Mhm.
So then I started having a few clients here and there. And then in 2022, I decided to quit my job and do this full time.
Nice.
Yeah.
So far in the journey, ni vitu gani umejionea about finances in people?
People can be uncomfortable. When it comes to money, mtu mwenyewe ndio amekurichia out, I need help. And then that first session is usually the hardest. I've had people. So the first session is like, what happens is, ukikuza uniambia, okay, Millie, I want you to be my financial coach or my financial therapist. Nitakwambia sawa, let's organize the first session. That first session, it's about me knowing you and your finances fully. Unaona?
Okay, that is, what do you do?
So, hata sianzangi hapo, naanzanga ulizaliwa wapi?
Okay.
We start at the start. Tunaanza roots. How was money back in the day? You know, did you know who used to pay for your school fees?
Yeah.
So that I get to understand their mind, where they're coming from. You know, what did they used to hear a lot growing up? So that saizi niweze ku understand decisions and I make. Because decisions na make sahi, they're influenced with how we grew up.
It is true.
So we start the journey, yeah? We start the journey back in the day, wananileta, shule, home, venye kulikuwa, siblings, wakaona wangapi, relationship yake na do. Najua kuna mtu manze ako traumatized na venye auctioneers walibeba vitu zao. Kitambo kiasi. So huyo msee hata ukimwambia pana uko na opportunity fiti ya kuanza biz, chukua tu loan. Nakwambia uongo. Siwezi chukua loan. But you see, if you don't understand that background, you won't understand why they're refusing to take a loan today. So I start with the background, and then now they come all the way to telling me where they're at. So how much money are they making? How much debt are they in? What assets do they have? Like their full financial situation at this time. So you go through that journey. There's some people, they break down in the sessions and they start crying because they've had such a difficult life.
Money is emotional.
Money is extremely emotional. Yeah, so nime experience different kinds of reactions with people for that first session. Kuna wengine wako very proud because wametoka place funny, manze bring up vizuri, you know, they've made good decisions, and now they're at a place where they actually feel proud. They're very, very happy. Wengine, they're not very happy. Maybe they received an inheritance, wakachoma.
Maybe can you just
inheritance ishaisha, so kubaya.
You can share a little bit of a success journey, someone you've worked with, and now their life is completely different.
Okay. Of course, I can't mention names.
Yeah, don't mention. No names mentioned.
Yeah, because even before someone becomes my client, they sign a confidentiality agreement and whatnot. Yeah. But one of the good stories I've had is with a lady who was in her late 20s. Alikuwa, by the time they were coming to me, they had about 960,000 in debt. In debt.
Mina then ni savings.
Si savings, debt. Alikuwa na madeni left, right and center.
Like they borrow to start investment.
Sasa wapi? Investment. Unasikia kuna investment ingine inaitwa Diani. Unaona hiyo investment? Anachukua anaenda Diani.
My people.
Kujitibu. Alikuwa amechukua, kanunua kambuti kadogo, akachukua, akafanya. Yani ilikuwa tu lifestyle. Ile unaona, sasa nimewakia siku 10 nilipwe, si nikachukua ka 20 Gs, kani push. Yeah? By the time unalipwa haulipi hiyo 20 Gs, unalipa 15. Ama ukilipa 20 unalipa 20 unachukua 30.
Wow.
So alikuwa amejipata in such situations where they had so much debt and they were in a very bad place because, as you said, money is emotional. So they were in a bad place psychologically, mentally. They were considering the unspeakable because now they are, you know when you take money, especially from these people, Mashailok, vitu zinakuanga ngumu, you're receiving threats. So you feel like you're really in danger. They felt stuck. And as we started doing the sessions, the one thing that I've seen with almost all of my clients is they realize it's not that bad. The minute you talk to somebody about your money situation, unaanza kuona kumbe si shimo. Si shimo kubwa, I can get out. And she was very faithful because people who are coming out of debt, if you know you have a debt problem, you have to sacrifice. Akunanga nini ama nini. You have to be so committed to coming out of debt that you sacrifice. So akasacrifice, akauza moti. Akasacrifice, akahama. Alikuwa anaishi nyumba ingine ya 40k. Mwambia hapana, toka kwa nyumba ya 40,000, tafuta ya 15. Shuka. No, alikuwa na unfiti, ni venye sasa alikuwa kwa shida ya loans kibao. And then the problem with these loans za mkato is the interest is so high. So you're paying interest per day. Interest ya per day utawezana. Unaona? So that was a big problem. So when she was able to clear her loan of 960,000.
Oh, she did?
She did.
Wow.
She did. She took sacrifices. She took a few lifestyle changes. They were not pretty. They were a bit hard for her. Kuna maisha umezoea kuishi, unaambiwa shuka. It's usually difficult. But the fact that they were able to, and now they are better organized when it comes to their money. Juu hakuacha sessions. Alisema, now that tumetoka kwa ngori, hebu sasa tuendelee kidogo nisijipate hapo tena. So when I see such successes, such stories, they give me so much hope and so much life for the work that I do.
A snap to that, Mazi.
Yeah.
So when will you advise somebody to take a loan?
It just has to. Loans are not bad, by the way. Loans are not bad. But loans are too available. Right now in Kenya, anyone with a phone and M-Pesa can access a loan. That's the problem.
It is true.
So you have so much accessibility with so little knowledge. You don't have a lot of training, but access nayo, pesa tu iko kikaka tu hivi, wanakutumia ka message. Do you know you can access up to?
Wanakupigia.
Wanakwambia chukua kitu bro. Unaona? So I think loans are not bad. You just have to be very intentional with when to take a loan and for why. You know what is the purpose? Unachukua loan ya kudu. Kama ni loan ya lifestyle, hiyo achana nayo. Unaona?
Mtu anataka kulipea mwili pole bana.
Work hard ndio. Kama una pesa kupea mwili pole, basi hahitaji pole. Kwanza chapa job. Ingia mboka kwanza. Utapea pole baadaye.
Wow. It is true. But even before we get to loans and so forth, there's someone who is watching us and mahali yako saizi, it's either they're between jobs, like they don't really have a solid source of income that they can say this is the kind of money that I get every month. And so when we even talk about saving and all these things, amebaki pale akishindwa, what are you even guys talking about? I can barely feed myself or something. So how can we advise this person like to look ahead and to save up on the days that are coming?
Well, the truth is, and it's a very harsh truth, you can't save money if you don't have money.
It is true.
Sindio? So I would say that person, the person who is in between jobs, they're struggling, their focus should not be saving. Their focus should be, how do I make money? That is what they should be focusing. What can I do to make money? And there is nothing, usijieke class, ati mimi sifanyangi kazi za aina hiyo. We chapa tu job. Fanya hiyo, chukua hiyo punch aka kwa mfuko. Chapa tena, pata so tatu, like that. So usidharau pesa ndogo. Try your best and then keep your expenses low. Kama unaweza kaa kwenu, sikuwe na rent. Unaona? Kama unaweza kaa lazima ukae, you live by yourself, look for a roommate. Rent isikuwe juu. So just try to reduce your expenses as much as possible and then hakuna kazi yenye ati si kazi fiti. Kama ni kazi and it's paying, take it up.
But now there's this thing of hakuna kazi.
I think that's mostly a mentality problem.
It is.
Mostly. And this is why I say mostly. If you go today, if you open LinkedIn, saizi,
True.
the opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you open Brighter Monday, right now, the opportunities. Ukiingia Upwork, kwa freelancers, na Fiverr, today, and I'm not talking about one opportunity, I'm talking about thousands. So instead of saying hakuna kazi, maybe you have a skill problem. Maybe you need to upskill. Because hizi kazi zote, unajua huwezi kuwa tu umetulia una skill, unasema hakuna kazi. Utafanya kazi gani? Because ukiingia hapo ndani, kila kitu iko na the requirements. You need to be able to X, to Y, to Z. So maybe kazi ziko, but uko na skill ya kufanya hizo kazi zenye ziko.
But maybe nitetee you mse kidogo. Sometimes you go into these websites and they are telling you they need 3 years, 5 years of experience.
Maisha ni kujichocha.
You're just fresh from campus.
When I got my first job, I was one of those fortunate unicorns because I didn't struggle. I finished Campo. I got a job in October and then I graduated in November. So I got a job before graduation. Na hiyo job, ilikuwa imesema hapo clearly, you need to have 2 years of experience.
How did you even bypass that?
Sasa si unajichocha unasema si mimi niko na experience ya maisha. Unajua hujasema experience ya nini? Una apply tu. Una apply. You hope for the best. You pray. Because mimi niko na jamii hata niko na experience. Nilikuwa nauza kwa duka ya mamangu. Si ni experience ya kazi. Sindio? So I think it's about you just have to put yourself out there without giving up. If you realize you're not, maybe umeenda interview 2-3, there's something they're mentioning. When they're rejecting you, they're telling you kuna hii shida na kuna hii shida. Work on those things. Kama ni communication, kama ni ka certificates, squeeze you can get certificates online. Unaingia hapo hivyo unachapa masomo 1 week uko na ka certification. So I think you just need to keep trying and not give up. Sometimes you also need to think, okay, maybe umetafuta kazi sana, umesikia give up, unaweza anza kazi yako.
Yeah, true.
Because sometimes these days it's not that hard. Unanunua tu sunglasses 5, uko na thao unanunua sunglasses 5 unaziposta IG. Zinaisha. Unaona? Unaziweka bei, unanunua zingine 8. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you keep trying, I believe that God will reward that hard work. Yeah, as long as you keep trying, you don't give up.
So what are the many misconceptions that we have around money and finance?
Money and finance. Kuna misconceptions mingi.
There's misconception, misunderstanding. Maybe you can just admit. I know.
Some of them, most of them, you've taken them from your childhood. So if your parents used to believe pesa ziko na wenyewe, you're likely to grow up with that attitude, which is a myth.
Pesa ziko na wenyewe, like meaning aje?
Meaning that si ya kila mtu. Si not everyone can be rich, not everyone can have wealth. Yeah, it's reserved for a select few. Unaona? So if you grew up hearing that over and over and over again, you might not know it, but deep down you might actually be believing that pesa iko na wenyewe, and that hinders you. Unaona? Ama ukiambiwa money is evil. It's the root of all evil. Sasa who wants evil in their life?
Nobody.
But unaona, you're contradicting. You want money, but you're saying you don't want evil. So in your system, you have internal conflict of your own beliefs. So that becomes a problem. Because how do you advance in making a lot of money while deep down you believe it's evil?
So how do you even get out of that? Because sasa kuna background imekushikilia.
Ndio maana kuna mahali mention financial therapy. There's a healing. There's a healing that you need to do based on the beliefs that you have carried over from all the traumas. Hizo vitu umekuwa ukibelieve, vitu zenye umekuwa ukisikia. Hizo vitu you need to start working on them, and the first step is kujua. Oh, by the way I think about money is wrong. This statement I heard over and over and over from my uncle is wrong.
Yeah.
So if you start by acknowledging that some of the things that you have believed for your 20 years, they are wrong, now that's the first step of that healing journey.
You're mentioning financial therapy. Kuna kwanga na kaka issue ya uko na do, but unaenda kuuliza brother-in-law wako venye
utaspendi hiyo do.
Venye utaspendi hiyo do. No, the issue is the brother-in-law doesn't have the capacity ya kuelewa the financial game. Yeye atasema vitu na venye anaelewa the issues. So talking a little bit about the money issue. Kuna mse sasa mwenye anapata do, si ndio? Would you advise saving ama investing? Because kuna mse anasema saving maze 30 bob haezi jenga nyumba, haezi nunua simiti. Kuna mwingine anaona investment vitu ni expensive ama hana knowledge ya that risky investment. So what would you advise about saving, investing?
I'd say the step 1 would be to teach yourself. Teach yourself about these things. Saizi tuna live in an age where there is so much information. Kingia YouTube content, TikTok content, IG content. So kuna so much content. So today you can actually hata unaweza input your exact problem, ChatGPT. Sema I'm a 21-year-old who makes 10,000 a month, who has this kind of rent, I have this kind of responsibilities, give me financial advice. It will pop out an answer.
Like against your thoughts, like
you just give it background, you give it context. Wambie wewe ni nani, uko wapi, maisha yako iko aje, uko na deni ya how much, give it context. And then unambia now you are my financial advisor, give me advice. It will tell you something.
Although from your background itakupea
it will give you something that you can do, steps that you unaweza chukua. So mimi kitu ningeambia msee mwenye akona do, like they're having some kind of income, is they need to first educate themselves And savings and investments don't have to be parallel. I mean, they don't have to be at one or the other. You can do them at the same time, right?
Yeah,
You can save a little, invest a little. Yeah. So I think it's about what are you saving for?
So what can we say is the biggest challenge that the young people encounter when it comes to financial management?
I would say the biggest challenge, number one, is not having enough. Tuanze hapo. So if you're not making money, you can't manage it. Financial management has to have finances. Sindio? So tuanze na kuunda do. Manage hewa. That's the first one. Then number two, I think is lack of know-how. So you're not educating yourself about money. You are not doing any research. So una move tu na venye unafikiria.
Do you think it's because huku nje hatujasikia the importance
I think so.
of going through money therapy and financial coaching and all that?
I think so. I think that the culture, the taboo around money is the problem. So that hujui unafaa utafute hii information. So unaishi tu venye ukishapata do yako unafanya venye wewe unafikiria. Ama unafanya venye uliona your brother, your father, your mother, unafuata tu hiyo. So I think lack of know-how is a very big problem. And I think also that culture of hush where we don't want to talk about money. You get uneasy. You get very uneasy. Mtu hata akikuuliza hii keja yako ni fiti, rent ni how much? Unaanza kupanic. Uko like sasa atakaniona aje? Atakopa. Me I remember there's a time at work I got promoted and I was so afraid to say. Sai na make how much? Si hiyo tu yenye mtaanza kuona nikaa nimeosa na staki munite harambe. Unaongezwa kwa makomitika zote. Niko hapana nzi. So those kind of cultures, I think they also really hinder us and how we perceive money. Yeah.
Wow, that is a big challenge. But again, there's I think when you spoke about the culture and the background, I just remember reading someone's post when they say they wonder how their mother was able to pay their school fees.
I wonder.
They ate, they dressed. 10,000, I know.
Yeah, I also wonder.
Imagine, and all of you went to school.
Yeah.
Maybe your other parent was just doing the manual jobs. So what was the difference of them making it that time and the times we're in? Is it that the economy has changed?
A lot of things have changed. Before, kitambo, when our parents were growing up and when they were raising us, all you could compare to was your neighbors, the village. It was a village comparison, right? So as long as the next door people are also farming, they're also doing this, you're good, right? But right now, you open IG and your desk mate, amenunua Mercedes GLC 250. Sasa unaingizia ka pressure fulani.
What have I been doing with my life?
Exactly. So I think because of how the internet is a good thing, but social media has put a lot of weird expectations on our lives, because it's not like we can't live on 10,000. If you have to live on 10,000, imagine you will. But because you also want to seem like you're doing well, like your peers, that becomes now a fresh challenge. Yeah. So even though economy ni mbaya, pia kuna other factors.
And nowadays they don't talk about the means justifying the end. Does the mean justify the end when it comes to getting this money?
I don't think the means justify the means. I don't think so, because now at the end of the day, I think it's important. We seek money and we want to be wealthy. I want to be very wealthy. I want to be very rich. But I also have to consider my values. I can't just do anything for money. I want to be able to sleep at night. Heri nilale tu kwa hiyo nyumba yangu ya 30,000 kuliko nilale ya 80,000 na niko na shida ya my values are clashing, the people who are looking for me, sijui kidogo na shida nikichange number.
But now you see, even as we've talked about social media, when you get to social media, you see your classmate or someone from your childhood. They have made this kind of milestone and you're somewhere and you're thinking you're a failure, but now it gives you a pressure of wanting to do whatever it takes to get where, at least to get somewhere. That's why I'm saying it has come to a place where people are not now, they are not even minding the means. As long as you get the bag.
The money, as long as you make the bag. Okay. Hapo hivyo ni your personal values, because we all have different personal values. I would not compromise my personal values to make an extra coin. For the sake of the bag. I believe as long as my values, things will align. Yeah.
But now, ile patience hatuna tena.
Gen Z,
microwave generation, unataka vitu pap.
They want to turn this side, there's a house, this side, there's a car. Like, they don't understand that thing of
trusting the process. Kuna mtu aliuliza
that process it has to trust you.
It has to trust you this time. Ama does the process know we are trusting it? Kubad.
Inajua hata tunaijua kweli.
Does it?
We just have to hiyo ni kitu yenye sasa life tu itakutrain kukuwa more patient, because everyone goes through their path differently. Yeah, and it's important for us to know that your journey is not the same as my journey. Kuna mtu maybe alipata job mapema, kwa mfano alipomaliza kampo akapata job na kaanzanga ku-earn. Na kaka na job unaona, but then we mwenye ulikaa uko nje for 2 years ukitamak, wangukie job ina make 3 times yenye yeye alikuwa na make. So life has a way of being fair and unfair to everybody. So as long as you just keep doing your best, hiyo pupa ya kutaka kukua rich tomorrow, I think sipo.
Wow. That is very, very, very insightful information that you're getting here this evening. And thank you so much for keeping it here. Keep talking to us on the number on your screen. Send us your questions. Send us your concerns. What do you want to know about financial management? And do you know there's something like financial therapy? Actually, I never did. So let us know what you're thinking about our conversation tonight. And if you have any question, let us know. We're going to take a very short break. Keep it here at PrayerCave TV. We'll be right back.
Thank you for keeping in touch with us with the number on the screen. Thank you for sending the DMs. And there's a lot that we are supposed to talk about on the money issue. I hope that tutaimaliza. But before tuende mbali, I just want to ask our guest, what do you think is the importance of financial literacy? Like the education. Kuna watu wenye, the education ndio inasaidia mtu kutoa kwa ujinga.
Financial literacy is important, as I had said before we went on break. And what is the importance? And the very first thing, I would say it helps you as a person to be satisfied with your life. Like the more you are financially literate, the more you're able to take the right decisions, and the more you're happy with your life. So financial literacy has, a good correlation with your general life satisfaction. Right? And then another thing I would say is important when it comes to financial literacy is because it gives you clarity. You know where you are, you know where you're from, you know where you're going. Things become clear. Because a lot of people, they live with a fog. Kuna tu kifog. Tukimuuliza sasa uko na how much kwa account hajui. Uko na deni ya how much combined hajui. Unatumianga sukari kilo ngapi kwa nyumba per month hajui. Hakuna kitu unajua. Haujui. Ana flow tu. Una flowingi tu na maisha, everything. Uko tu sawa.
Kenye tu unahitaji ndio kenye unaenda kutafuta.
Exactly. Tokens ikiisha sasa ndio unanunua. Gas ikiisha ndio unanunua sasa, unaona? So I think clarity inakusaidia.
Us live in that kind of
survival
mode. So you'll only get thing when you need it.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have that some level of intentionality.
That is powerful.
Mm-hmm. It is important to have some level of intentionality where you know this is where your life is at. He isn't your cards life imeni deal so far. Nitafanyaje na hizi kadi? Yeah, how am I going to play this game? Yeah. Because money is really, finances are really just a game. It's about how you play it. So even though maybe hata you're not making much, na hiyo 7K yako kwa mwezi, you can still be intentional. Because okay, I'm here where I'm making 7K. Yeah. Okay, nitaweka ngapi za madeni niko nazo za watu huku nje? Nitakuanga na neka 2K. Hadi nimalize madeni. Aya, nafaa ni tithe how much? Ndio nitaweka tithe. napenda kusaidia mkoro na 1 2 3 nitakuwa nafanya nini, what can I do at home. Angalia unaona mi bili ya maji ndio nitaizana nayo. Kama uwezani na stima achana nayo, kama uwezani na internet achana nayo, chukua ya maji. So that's what I mean about intentionality. You don't have to make millions or hundreds of thousands for you to be intentional with the money that you have.
But unajua issue intentionality ni inatoa ile raha ya kuenjoy do. Unaona? Hiyo
ni misconception. Nakumbuka zile misconceptions tulikuwa tunaulizwa. Yeah, that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Mtu ya kuamua leo naingia mall. Kula alafu nagundua baadaye man kidogo. Yes, you enjoyed but kidogo.
So unaona hiyo misconception? Because I think
life is for the living.
YOLO.
You enjoy once, maze.
You see the thing with, if you approach money correctly, budgeting gives you freedom. It doesn't limit you. If you approach it correctly, it gives you the freedom to know, by the way, nimekuwa nikipanga kwenda mall. Mtati, hii weekend, umekuwa ukisave do. Uko na 30k ya kusplash kwa hiyo mall yenye ulikuwa unataka. So unaingia huko with all the, you don't even feel guilty spending the money. Because you had planned for it, you saved the money, you made sure sasa ni weekend. Hadi ukachagua ni weekend fulani hapa naenda kutesa. So budgeting and financial literacy and being conscious and intentional gives you long lasting freedom. Hii ingine ni freedom ya dakika 10 when you're doing it, and then after that ka guilt.
Depression.
Kanaanza kuingia niko
But I think thinking of it just like that, you think that budgeting is going to shrink your aspiration, whatever you've always wanted to do, because now you think you are going to account for every little shilling, and you'll feel guilty budgeting 10,000 for going for a vacation.
Why would you feel guilty?
Because you think that I think that money should be made into an investment or something.
No, when you do, like when you're doing budgeting and you're doing it correctly, it allows you the freedoms of knowing these are the things I like. And life, again, as you said, life is for the living, right? Siwezi kuwa ati nimazeni naishi sijui aje, ati niko na investments. Unajua kama wale baba tulikuwa tunasikia, kuna yule uncle mwenye anakulanga lunch mkate na soda. Akikufa mnasikia alikuwa na shamba sijui wapi, alikuwa na lori 10, uko ai.
Vile alikuwa anakaa.
Alikuwa anateseka na kumbe yeye ni millionaire. I don't think, my personal approach is not like that. So I think as long as you allocate, unajua hauwezi sikia guilty ukienda vacation, kama unajua pia umesavia emergencies, uko na ka emergency fund kako fiti, hautasikia guilty. Uko na ka investment fulani, hautasikia guilty. You spend that money happily, knowing you worked for it, you earned some. Sasa hiyo ndio kurudisha mwili pole. Sasa yenye vitu ziko fiti. So it will give you the freedom. Budgeting, people often think it's a limiter, but really it's what frees you.
So ni wapi ndo unaweza draw the line ya yes, you're intentional but you still want to enjoy?
So it's that balance of how do you
enjoy life and still save and have your finances well in place?
So kuna youth man ana watch na ashajipanga saizi wenye nitakuspend hiyo do. Friday atumuoni bana.
I think let me give the easiest, the most common and the easiest budgeting structure ni the 50 30 20. Kama ujui hizo ni nini, ni percentages. So 50% you spend of your money, you spend it on your necessities. Necessities ni food, rent, electricity, vitu kaa hizo. 30% you save it on you spend it on your wants. So unataka nini? Ni nini inaweza ni bamba kwa life? Unaona? You do those things. So kama ni hiyo kiatu, kama ni hiyo bag inakuita kwa jina ukipita kwa streets, at least now uko na 30% ya kuspend into that thing, and then 20% you save that money. So as a very basic budgeting structure, 50% necessities, 30% your wants, 20% you save.
Nice.
Yani hiyo ni ile basic. Hiyo ni ile very very basic.
Kuna deep.
Kuna budgeting, kuna very many styles, kuna ina depend na penye uko, ina depend kuna familia, kama hauna dependents. Mtu mwenye ako na wife na watu watatu, siwezi mchapa the same advice na Boyani. Ako solo. Yeah, because then it means Boyani has a lot more opportunity to save 60% of her income in comparison to that person.
Yeah, it's true.
Mwenye analipa fee, ako na sijui medical, ako na nini, yeah.
So pia at some point here, the deep budgeting, do you look at mse mwenye, unajua kuna watu wana make do like they're sure monthly.
Yeah.
Then kuna mse mwenye 6 months ako dry, alafu like
Kashiva. kanaiva.
Imeenda like anashanga. Alafu unajua kuna that nitaje. Kuna that emotions inakujanga na do kukuja once na mtu anakwama juu Kenya anafaa kutumia. Does it vary with such people?
It varies. How you budget your money. A salaried person cannot budget the same with mtu mwenye anaundaga do daily. Unajua kuna mtu naye anaunda do daily. Mtu wako biz kwa mfano unaweza kuwa unaingiza do every single day. Right? Na si the same na mtu mwenye yake ni seasonal. Because there are some jobs that are extremely seasonal. Maybe unafanyanga job ya kuuza maua. So Valentine's kakishika na Mother's Day kakishika job iko sawa. Alafu unakauka, hakuna holiday, hakuna kitu. Unaanza kuchill tena another holiday. So it's again how you advise those three people has to be extremely different. And I think that's why we say personal finance. Ni personal. Person to person is going to differ. Right.
We mentioned something about financial therapy. Tuko Kenya. Do people even do such things? Kuna watu wanajua hizi vitu zina exist kweli?
Manze niko mboka, so lazima kuna watu wanajua now that I have clients. I think we are coming to a place in life where therapy is becoming less stigmatized. People are embracing therapy. Kitambo, it was even hard usikie msi akisema, yeah, I go for therapy. Because you thought therapy ni kumaanisha you are sick. Uko na shida. Uko pabaya. Wewe, uko pabaya. So kitambo, that's how it used to be. But in 2024, things have really changed. More people are embracing that there is need for you to have therapy, regular therapy, psychological therapy. And now with that wake, there's also now people who find, because kama saizi tukiongea story ya vile how we were raised affects our money, everyone in this room agreed. Kila mtu alikuwa, ni ukweli. To mean that fundamentally you agree financial therapy is important. Ni venye utaki kupea hiyo jina. Na mimi wasiforce clients, kama utaki ni kuipea hiyo jina, ukitaka kuita financial consulting, hiyo ndio inakubamba, ni sawa tu. Inaanza kusound kibiz. Ukitaka kuita financial coaching, ni sawa. But really people are embracing therapy more and more as time goes. So tuko Kenya, but watu wana embrace.
Niko ile part ya now we'll come and talk and now I'll start crying.
You don't have to. Kuna pressure, tulia, kuna pressure. Si lazima ulie.
Oh my God.
No, as long as you're in a place where you're completely open, because for it to work, someone has to be completely open. So now whatever emotions you're feeling with that openness, allow yourself to feel them. Yeah.
And now maybe what are the consequences of us not getting this financial literacy?
The consequences are very many, like stagnation. So if you don't educate yourself, you don't know there are many ways to make money. Utakuanga tu kilia. 10 years from now utakuanga, economy. Bado utakuwa unalia economy. In 10 years, bado utakuwa unalia hakuna kazi. So there's a chance if you don't educate yourself, stagnating is the biggest consequence that people don't think is a consequence. So you financially stagnate. That's one of the consequences of not educating yourself. Number 2, you just become your mother or your father. Because your knowledge is limited to your village. Whatever you saw happening at home is exactly how you will behave, because you don't have anything else impacting your decision making.
Yeah, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly. So that's the other thing. So if you look at home and you want to be exactly like your mother and you want to be exactly like your father, then that's okay. Si lazima uji-educate. Ukifuata tu nyayo zao, somehow you can end up exactly like them.
That has got me think the way someone will come and ask you for money and you're like, Sina. Because we were used to hearing Sina every time was Sina. Yes, you have, but the first thing will come from your mouth
ni
like
Sina do.
Sina do sai. And for real you have.
Yeah.
So that's something we should deal with.
That's something we should definitely deal. Those are some of the traumas we should deal with.
Even a trauma.
You know, it's so bad. Kila siku ukiuliza kitu sina pesa, hadi na wanajamu. Unajua wale wazai walikuwa nakasirika. Ukienda kuitisha kitu,
Nitisha 15 bob.
Toka hapa. Hiyo lazima inaku affect.
But speaking of the literacy and stuff, kuna mse mwenye na feel maybe hawezi ku afford the therapy and stuff. Maybe anaweza taka ku take the journey, maybe akiwa peke yake. Anaweza pataje that literacy while alone?
Yeah, you can find, because I wouldn't say at financial therapy and financial coaching is cheap. Yeah, I charge in dollars, I charge per hour, so it is expensive, right? But the thing is, there's so much knowledge today. I have over 100 videos on YouTube. I've done. YouTube is free. Tafuta bundles, kama una bundles, enda hapo kwa jirani, mwambie aniwekee password ya wifi. Kudunge wifi, hundreds of videos. Sasa hizo ni mimi peke yangu nimetengeneza. Na watu wengine, what if you combine all these other people that talk about money? So you have a whole university available for you online. If you go to TikTok, same case. There's so much content, good content about money. If you just Google, ile shida yenye uko nayo ukiweka tu kwa search box, you're going to get again answers. So I would say, if you want to start that journey alone, be intentional about it, start seeking. Na uzuri wa hizi vitu zinaitwa algorithm, ukianza kutafuta maneno ya do, itajua, unapenda pesa. Na kuna huyu, na kuna huyu, na kuna huyu. So they will serve you the right kind of content and you will get educated. Yeah.
One of your, I don't know whether you are a reader like that much. One of your transformative money books.
The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel, is one of the books that I think really impacted how I view money. The old Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. It's also a good book to teach you about money. So those two books, I would say, they're fundamental in how I think about money. Yeah.
Now, we've just mentioned how this person can get the information, but maybe you can just share some practical tips. One we have said is getting the knowledge, which is everywhere. Then it is one thing to get the information, there's another thing to work it out. So what are other tips that we can help the young people who are striving to become financially stable or maybe make good steps in financial management?
Okay, I'll give 2 major tips. The first tip, unaona hiyo vitu zenye umetoka kulearn, implement.
Hapo tuko implementation. I don't know what happens.
Just look at one thing and just start slow. Unajua pia sengine unakuanga na mamioto unajambia, nimelani kitu. Mimi na save 90% of my income. Utakuwa realistic. 90% of your income. Kwani unaishi chini ya mawe? Yes, make. So I would say, ukianza kulearn, just look at what is the simplest thing that you can implement and implement that very simple thing. Just implement it. Maybe inaweza kuwa you want to track your money. Ndatu kujua do yako inaingianga kutoka wapi na inatokanga ikienda wapi. Yeah, just
there's an issue with people getting information and not
implementing.
That is the biggest issue we have with everyone. Where you start getting this information and you feel so good, you now know these things. But kwa ground, unabaki vile.
Umekauka hata utaki.
So sad, by the way.
It is quite sad, but it's a big problem. So that's the very first advice or tip I'd give anyone. Implement the simplest thing. And then number 2 tip, if you're looking for general tip, yani kama kwa hii video, hautafuata anything else from this show. Just follow a very simple principle. There's a very simple money principle. Where live on less than you make, invest the difference.
Live on less than you make and invest
the difference. That's it. If you don't hear anything else. So if you're making 7,000, live on 6K. If you're making 70,000, live on 50K. If you're making 700,000, live on 500. Always in hiyo yenye nabaki ya juu. If you're prudent enough to keep saving it and investing it, eventually itakusaidia kwa your life. Because shida ni we are living wewe income yako venye nakimbizana na expenses hata income haioni
kwa kirat race flani.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And maybe we have just talked about the consequences, but we didn't finish. We only mentioned a few.
The consequences of
not putting into practice the financial management or having financial literacy.
Yeah, so other than the consequences I had already mentioned, the dissatisfaction in life, I think you'll end up being someone that compares yourself a lot because you're not walking your own journey. If you don't educate yourself when it comes to money, you're constantly walking other people's journeys.
Definitely.
So utajicompare, hata si lazima kwa social media. Inaweza kuja manze hapa hivi, kila mtu amekelea iPhone hapa uko,
Android.
Na ni vijana wa 19 years. What is going on? Unaona? So pressure can come from anywhere. But when you have an understanding of where I'm at and where I'm going, it becomes easier to deal na hizi vitu. Zinakuja zinakupatapata. So I think that's another consequence, that you will be unhappy because you will constantly comparing yourself.
Or running a race that is not yours.
That is not your own. You're taking a journey that is not your own. Likelihood you will be bitter.
Definitely.
So nakumbuka nikisema maneno ya stagnation. Ukistagnate 5 years, you will become a bitter person.
True.
Utaanza kusema hata ule boy ni wa wash. Ni wivu, relax. Hajaosha kitu. Wako huko tu anauza pegs zimemuomosha. Hata pegs zinaweza kufanya uomoke hapa.
Business opportunity.
Unaleta pegs kutoka China, peg moja ni half a cent. Less, yani ni kidogo, it's in pennies. Unakuja ukiuza, unaweza omokea kwa pegs. Exactly. So I think you can easily become a very bitter person if you don't have your own personal financial journey. And then lastly, if you're not financially educated, another consequence is you will be pulled. Utakuwa kudanganywa ni rahisi. Hizo mascams zitakuingia deadly.
10,000.
Exactly. Utakuwa unaambiwa saizi kuna Bitcoin, invest hapo, unaenda unaekelea do yote kwa Bitcoin. Zinaoga. Mwingine anakuja anakuambia, sasa tunafanya nini, unaenda unaekelea do, because you don't have education. You don't have the knowledge. Because kuna vitu zingine ukipiga tu hesabu ya haraka uko we kwenda huko. Hiyo nayo unanienjoy. Ati make how much? We kwenda. You just know this one is a scam. It's easy to identify because you have the knowledge. Yeah.
And talking about that, what are the other common pitfalls that people get to fall into now when they are looking for this money?
10,000 a day.
So other than being scammed when you're looking for money, another pitfall is niliwambia about the way debt is available in Kenya. That's a big problem because a lot of Kenyans are in severe debt. Not just debt, severe. Nikubad. Nikubad. They're in so much debt. So that's another pitfall that you can fall in. You can compromise your values. And I'm a very value-based financial therapy. I would want you to be able to honor your values. If nothing else, just ask yourself, what are you sacrificing?
Yeah.
That is a big question. What are you willing to sacrifice to make money? So it can be in pursuit of it because you don't even know your values. Umetafuta do, umengangana, umepiga kazi. You realize you've never spent time with your child. Right? Your child, they're now 9 years. Hata hamuna relationship. Unaingianga tu ukitoka, ukienda kazi. And maybe for you, ukiweza ulizo what's the most important thing in your life? Utasema family. Kwa hapo unasema family. But you don't spend time with your family. You spend all of your time looking for this money. Yeah, so I think sometimes you can end up living a life of regret where you look back and you're like, what was it for?
Yeah. Unaweza sema not knowing how much to ask from your employer pia can be a pitfall.
It can be a pitfall if you don't know how to. So umeanza kuleta maneno ya pricing hapa. And that's not a very simple conversation to have, but understanding the value of your skill set is also very important so that you're able to negotiate. Unfortunately, we live in an employer's market because there are more workers than there are jobs. So mtu anaweza kuja kuambia, unachukua hii job na 15k, kama utaki weishia. Yeah, which is unfortunate. That's where this country is. There's some countries where that is not the case. They live in an employees market where now employees demand because jobs are more than the employees that are qualified. So it becomes quite an interesting thing. In the previous job that I used to work, the time we were doing interviews, and it was an international company, so we were doing interviews in Netherlands, and we used to get stood up to go, yani yao ni mtu amedecide tu akuji interview ajisikie na nyinyi. It used to happen because there's so many opportunities there, so many jobs. Mimi sijisikii. Nao wameka interview saa 8 nimeshiba. Wao wakwende. Hataki kuchoka na hiyo interview yenu. So in Kenya right now, that is not the market we are at. It's a bit different, but it's important for you to continually understand your values. Kuizi kuna so many ways in which you can know how much you're making. Like how much you should be making. Like kuna opportunities kama Glassdoor, ukiingia hapo uweke your title ama your job, the kind of thing. You can see how much other people are being paid. Yeah, so valuing your skills, it can be a pitfall, but squeeze at least kuna kaujanja.
So what are your thoughts a little bit on kuna hii kitu yenye wasa nasema tina kwa decentralized, like you don't have to rely on the fiat money. The crypto game. The crypto game is a good game. It's not a bad game. I would not sit here and demonize cryptocurrencies. They have their place. But then a lot of the problem comes with these owners of the wallets, right? So you're being told,
chukua crypto but unaingia Binance, chukua crypto unaingia kama FTX yenye ilikufa lately and it had billions. You know that guy, he's been arrested, but some went with billions of dollars, and that's in dollars, it's a lot of money. So as long as unaifanya na pupa utategwa. What I say is anytime anyone is rushing you to make an investment, that's a setup. That's simple. Mtu akikwambia mazee deal ya sai, kwambia hapana, mimi sitaki deal ya sai, nipatie ya kesho. Sitaki yenye iko na pressure. Kaisha poa, because anytime anyone is rushing you, hata kwa simu. Mtu anakupigia simu akwambia we're calling you from Safaricom, we've noticed you what we want. Akianza kukuthreaten nitafunga line yako. Wewe mwambie wefunga. So scam artists always have some pressure. They give you some pressure so that you make a rash decision. So even when it comes to crypto, as long as the decision is not rash, you've taken your time, you've done your research, then you're going to be in a good place. Yeah.
Nice. Anyway, I see we are running out of time. Any last words to folks out there for financial management and stuff?
The first step is always with umeanza fiti na kuochisho from beginning to the end. I think that's a very good step. That's a tick. But educate too. Imagine educate. Sai kuna unajua at least kitambo my mama angesema hakuwa na hiyo opportunity. Ilikuwa tu watu wenye wako hapo kwa sako yake ndio wanaweza mfunza. Saizi you can have a teacher from Vietnam, you can have a teacher from the US, you can have a teacher from London. So the fact that we are living in the information age is the biggest resource that we are currently having. So educate. And then ukisha educate, implement please. Force uweze kuimplement at least one thing. Hapo sana ukieducate na how implement unachoma. Yeah.
Nice.
So that is the biggest advice I'd have to give anyone. Educate yourself and then implement something.
Wow, that is a beautiful journey. Here's so much information, but I love, maybe you can repeat that part when you said, and I think that is the problem that we make. We live beyond our income, you see, and we end up falling into these pitfalls. We won't say that it's unknowingly, and that's why the Bible says people perish because of lack of
Knowledge.
But now knowledge is there with us. So it is us having this thing of ignoring, or maybe we just know what is the right thing to do, but we choose not to do.
And implementing.
Mimi hapo, I know.
It's abnormal.
Hapo kwa implement, I don't know what happens. You've never gone into a seminar. You hear these things, man. So you are pumped up with information. You are psyched up. Vile ukitoka hapa, your life is
will
taking
never be the same.
60 turn. Wait until you wake up next day in the morning. You even don't know where to start from. Again, you're back to square one. So unfortunate. Ron, what are you telling our guys?
Guys, remember you are your best asset. Umesikia Kenya guest amesema education mazi. Usiende alone education. Get the education, then go and implement whatever you've learned. Sindio?
Kabisa.
Mazi, thanks sana.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you?
Can find me on all social media platforms at @Millie Money, yani Millie Mapesa. Millie Mado. Yeah, see la estate ya Millie Money hapana. Millie Mapesa. You can also find me on YouTube. I've done 2 videos about signs that you're living above your means. So you can find me on YouTube again at Millie Money. So nifuate hapo, get your education, and hopefully your life starts taking a different turn when it comes to finances.
Yeah, we will do what you said. We'll be intentional.
Yeah.
Be intentional to make sure that our life, our finances take a difference. And if you're there and already you're in this pitfall, you're already going through so much, Millie's here and she's ready to help you come out of that situation. And as you've heard, there is financial therapy. So don't shy away from taking these therapies. They are meant to help you. Thank you so much for keeping it here at PrayerCave TV and for joining us this whole hour. And I know that your life will not be the same if only you will take a step of implementing what we've learned tonight. So it has been a pleasure, and until next Saturday, keep it here at PrayerCave TV. Have a wonderful evening.